Oftentimes, it feels like gamers, we discuss the idea of trust. Which game publishers or which game studios have the most trust built up? Do they deliver their games? Do they make good promises? Do they stick to release dates? Do they give you the most value possible? And for many, many years, at the top of the list of most trusted video game companies was always CD Projekt Red. Not just because they made great stuff like Witcher and Gwent, but it also felt like they cared about their fan base. They actually were very receptive to feedback. They were constantly attentive to the needs to their people. Whereas now, it does sound like Cyberpunk 2077 was such a gigantic failure, it may have screwed the company over permanently. But let's take a look at some raw numbers to see what's really going on. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. I hope you're having a very good day and managing to stay cool. I'm wearing my workout clothes because it's 1,000,000 degrees here in Texas. So almost every single gaming website has been talking about this whole freaking disaster for the last 24 hours. But this is actually an article over on PlayStationLifestyle.net, and it says this: CD Projekt Red has lost a significant market value since Cyberpunk 2077's disastrous launch. Now, at this point, pretty much everybody is aware of the fact that Cyberpunk is an interesting test example of overhype. Even if you like this game, even if you did seriously enjoy it, I think we can all objectively agree that if you take a step back, I think we can all objectively agree that if you take a step back and just observe every aspect of it, both positive and negative, they definitely promised way too much. The idea, the trailers, the interviews of what they said Cyberpunk was going to be is not the game we got. But here's where the details actually got very fascinating to me, which is the fact that apparently before the game came out, the actual stock exchange value of CD Projekt Red was $85 a share, and now it's all the way down to $19.92 a share. Now, what does this actually mean? If you don't know financials, if you're not some weirdo who stares at charts like this all day, essentially, they have lost tens of billions of dollars. This is when it started to build up. Everybody was excited, and I feel like this actually shows a very fascinating trend to me, which shows that video games are truly becoming more and more mainstream. Like, consider the fact that a lot of these investors were probably normies, people who don't spend all their time holding a Spider-Man PlayStation 5 controller, people who just go to work and hang out. They probably just invested. And then even they were aware that right here when it came out, right at the end of 2020, it goes off a freaking cliff. The fact that it continues to just absolutely drop, to me, I think that this is a fascinating example. It is our first real-world test result that shows gamers are affecting the world. Even the financial market is very much dictated by gaming hype, by gaming conversation. Going back to the article here, there's this more discussion from Business Insider Poland that CD Projekt Red has lost 75% of its total value since Cyberpunk 2077 came out. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, that's no big surprise. It was a very, very disastrous launch. In the history of video gaming, it's definitely going to go down more as a wet splat than the huge, epic masterpiece they were certainly intending it to be. But honestly, I think that right here, this is probably the biggest thing that's caused the negative financial aspect. And honestly, this right here is why I think the company is not going to be able to recover. The PlayStation 4 version of Cyberpunk 2077 was so broken that Sony pulled it from the PlayStation Store for 6 months. Despite it selling over 18 million copies of the game, CD Projekt Red has lost the sterling reputation it's gotten from developing The Witcher 3. The number also falls short of the 25 to 30 million sales that they predicted it would sell in the first year. Now, what I find interesting about this is that CD Projekt Red is a company that definitely is always trying to be very, very receptive to the community and keep selling copies. The biggest effort that CD Projekt Red tries to do is make a game that's big, to make a game that's got content, that's got a game that's going to keep being streamed and played and talked about, so it has a long sales tail. Most video games sell a ton right up front. Very obvious, but what you don't realize is they've done a bunch of stats. Most games sell 85% of their total number right in that first 3 weeks. If a developer typically doesn't manage to sell just a huge amount of the game right at the launch, then typically it's considered to be a financial failure because it's not really going to catch up. CD Projekt Red, though, is something that is very different because their games do just keep selling and selling and selling. In fact, there's been multiple times where the Netflix show, the Witcher Netflix show, when that came out, that ended up leading to more sales of the Witcher 3 game. A lot of times whenever they release the huge expansions for Witcher 3, which are fantastic, Blood of Wine and Heart of Stone, when those came out, that again bolstered its community, that again bolstered its sales numbers. And that was clearly the idea behind Cyberpunk 2077, is launch it, get it out there as quickly as possible, build up trust, build up conversation, build up even more hype, and then freaking throw out more patches, more stability, throw out more content to get people to play more and just keep buying it, maybe buy it for their friends. That was the mission, but it failed catastrophically. Now at this point, we have gotten the next-gen update for CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, but in my opinion, it's pretty lackluster. That next-gen patch was pretty much some fog effects, some lesser load times, and a little bit of extra shiny roads. Nothing that feels truly innovative in the way that we probably hoped. And additionally, there have been a bunch of in-depth leaks, which I'm not going to show you here in case you don't want spoilers, but people have been digging through the code of the next-gen patch, and they found pretty much all of the evidence of what seems to be all the future DLC that's coming to the game, and it's incredibly tiny. Johnny Silverhand has about 25 lines total. It's a few new side quests. It's a couple new spots that we can visit. It sounds like Cyberpunk 2077 is as done as it's going to be. But what does this mean for the grander context? Honestly, I think CD Projekt Red is going to get bought. 1,000,000%, I think Microsoft or Sony is about to swoop in there because the price tag is so severely diminished. Somebody is going to buy them because we're still in a spot where CD Projekt Red does still make good products. They still understand what they're doing. It's just a matter of, honestly, Cyberpunk was just undercooked. The longer we get past its launch, the more I can't really hate Cyberpunk. I just feel like it's a game that had problems, but there's still this interesting gem at the center of it. I know it's still being bombed on Metacritic and it will never actually recover, but I still feel like Cyberpunk is a game that tried to do something, and even if it failed, the people who made it had a lot of big ideas. I think that there is a 99% chance that either Microsoft or Sony is going to swoop in there while they're broke as a joke and buy them to make Witcher 4 a console exclusive. This to me just makes the most business sense, and it would be a very good deal because even if you are very, very angry about Cyberpunk, I think that by the time they start to show trailers and gameplay for Witcher 4, a lot of gamers are going to forget. I like to think that gamers are very intelligent. We're great at research. We're really good about digging deeper and trying to figure out the full truth and stuff like that. But a lot of times, people seem to get amnesia as soon as that next great, amazing, big project comes out. And if Witcher 4 looks amazing, I think everybody's going to pre-order it. I mean, I'm probably going to pre-order it, even if it is just to play it and roast it or something. But what do you think? Are you at all fascinated by the rise and fall of Cyberpunk? Are you happy about the failure of CD Projekt Red, or are you concerned about what's going to happen to this once legendary studio? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh man, I filmed this right as my camera was about to die. Heck yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm tired of this heat already. The spotlights are killing me. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.